Welcome. This video is going to introduce using user input in BYOB and also the join block. So I've got a character here. I've got a script that just draws a square and another script that makes him say hello. And I would like, let's start by making him actually greet us by name. So instead of just hello, I want him to ask us our name and then say, hello, Andrew. So the way we get input is this ask, and we could get other kinds of input from the mouse and by checking to see if keys are pressed. But if we want to ask the user a question, we use the ask block. And if I do this, what's your name? And I get a chance to type down in the bottom and then enter that, and that information's gone. Well, it's not really gone. What I typed in got stored for us. And there's this built-in variable called answer that always has the last answer that I entered. So if I ask what's my name and I change my name to Bob, the answer will be Bob. That's the last answer I gave to an ask. So I could ask what's your name and then wait for the input and then say, instead of saying hello, I could just say the answer, whatever it was. So he asks me, I say Andrew, and he says Andrew. Now I really want him to say hello, Andrew. So I've got to kind of build up a string. I guess I could kind of do it like this. And he says hello for 2 seconds, and then Andrew for 2 seconds. But I want him to say it as one message. When we want to build up a bigger piece of text, a bigger string, the tool we use is join. And you can think of join as adding two pieces of text. It smashes them together. It's called concatenation. So join hello and world turns out to be hello world. And if I use that join as what he's going to say, he'll say hello world. Now, kind of a small but important detail, after the hello there's a space. If I remove that, he's going to join hello and world, just smash them together, and the words will be smashed together. So if we want there to be a space between words, we kind of have to make sure that there's a space somewhere in what we're putting together. Now, so I want to join the word hello and my answer, my name. So I'll put those two together. So there's hello, Andrew. No space, so I'll put a space in. That looks better. And so this I can have be the message he says. If I want to build up a longer string, so I've got hello and then Andrew, I can join that to something else. So this says, first join hello and my name, the answer, and then join that to, let's do period, space, nice to meet you. And he'll build up, first he'll build up the hello Andrew, and then that'll be placed into this location, and he'll put a period and a space after it, and then the nice to meet you. So let me put that into the say, and reattach that to the question, and give this a try. There we go. He asks me a question and responds based on my answer. Now, we can use the answer like any other piece of information. So here's my kind of generic draw a square program, my little script for that. And we could easily modify this to ask for how big a square and wait. And with the answer, I could use that to control how far he moves. So how big a square? I'll say 100. If I run it again and answer 200, then the answer will be 200. That'll be the result of asking. So that'll get stored into answer, and when it has to use the answer to move, that's how far it'll go. Now let's do one more example. I want him to add two numbers for me. So I'm going to have him ask, give me a number, and I'm going to duplicate that, and the second time we'll have him say, give me another number, and I want him to add up the two numbers and then tell me the result. So here's what I'm going to try for the first. I'm going to want the answer from the first one, the answer from the second one. I'll add those two up, whatever values those are, and then I'll have him just say what those add to. So something like that. I'm going to try this and see how it works out. So I'm going to ask him to add 2 and 6. And he tells me that is 12. Well, did he multiply them? What happened? Let's try 2 and 7. Let's try 5. Oops. 5 and 7. Okay, it's not like he multiplied them. He just gave me 2 copies of the last one. If we stop and look at what's happening with weights, the reason for that should become very clear. It's not unlike problems we saw with the little man computer. So give me a number. I put in 5, and the answer gets set to 5. Now he asks me the next number. I say 7, gets changed to 7. So when he goes to look at the answer down here, he just sees the last answer. If I want him to ask me the 2 questions and add them up, I need to make sure I store the first answer before I ask the second question. Now, anytime we want to store information, right, we need a variable. So I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to call it first number. And I'll have him ask me the question. And then I'll set first number to be whatever my answer was. Kind of store away the first one. Then ask again. And then when I get down here, what I'm going to want to add up is the answer from the second question with the answer from the first one, which I know now should be stored away in first number. So let's go ahead and run this. So give me a number. I will give him 5. And we can see we tucked that away into the first number. And if I move him out of the way, we can see that. So now if I give him 7, we've got the 2 values we needed. The first answer tucked away in this variable, the built-in variable answer storing our second answer. If we really wanted to, we could make a second variable for second number and duplicate this block. So I could, if I wanted to, I could store the second number and then add first number plus second number. It'd have the exact same effect. 5, 7, he tells me 12. Right? Only difference is this time I have explicitly stored my 2 answers into 2 different variables. I don't need to do that because I'm not going to ask another question after that second one. I'm going to pull out the weights. I'm actually going to, let's go ahead and just compact that back down and do kind of the simpler, shorter version. Go away, I don't need you. Last thing I want to do is when he gives me the answer, I want him to say the sum is 12. I'm building up my answer with this block. That's where I get my 12. So I want to make him say a bigger piece of text. That's a join. And I can join something that's a number to a string, and it becomes a bunch of letters. So if I say the sum is, and I put a space to make sure I've got a space in there, and then get rid of the world by dropping my answer over the top of it, he's going to say the sum is 12. And so I'm going to use that to control what he says. Here's my final program. 5 plus 7. He tells me the sum is 12. Perfect.